Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to our viewers to our program Towards the Light. Inshallah, we are going to do Juz 21 today. And before we begin, I would just like to remind you that we had completed Surah Al-Ankabut, which also ended in Juz 21. So today we are going to start from Surah Ar-Rum. Nahmadu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem, amma ba'd. فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Surah Ar-Rum, and this is a Makki surah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alif Lam Mim. غلبت الروم في أدنى الأرض وهم من بعد غلبهم سيغلبون في بدء سنين لله الأمر من قبل ومن بعد ويومئذ يفرح المؤمنون. Alif Lam Mim. The Byzantines have been defeated in the nearest land, but they after their defeat will overcome within 3 to 9 years. To Allah belongs the command before and after. And that day the believers will rejoice in the victory of Allah. He gives victory to whom He wills, and He is the exalted in might, the merciful. In this surah we see Allah Ta'ala is mentioning the Byzantines. The Byzantines were basically the Romans, the Christians, Ahle Kitab. And at the time of the Makki period, we see that Persia and the Romans, these were the two very strong empires, and in fact they were the strongest empires of that time, and they constantly used to remain at war with one another. This was a Makki period, and of course Muslims on the other hand were also going through the persecution period. In this ayat, Allah Ta'ala says that the Byzantines, that means the Eastern Roman Empire, they were defeated by the Persians. But Allah says that after this defeat, within 3 to 9 years, that means the Romans are going to be successful. They will win the war. And so this was the time when Muslims migrated to Medina. Within this 3 to 9 years span, they migrated to Medina. And the first battle that was fought in Medina was Ghazwa Badr. This was the time when the Romans fought with the Persians, and at that time the Romans were succeeded. So this shows that Allah Ta'ala had predicted something which came out to be exactly true. So in other words, this was giving a way of relief to the Muslims that at this point of the Makki period, while you are subjected to persecution, your time will come that the tables are going to turn and you will take over. And of course, the nearest land refers here to the eastern side of the Roman Empire, which was close to the Arab land of Hijaz. And of course, we see that over a period of 23 years, Islam did spread, and the first battle that was fought in Badr, that was a deciding battle for the Muslims. So this was a great consolation here for the Muslims, that at this time of persecution, you need to bear with it, but remember that Allah's promises are true and things are going to change for you. So Allah says that the promise of Allah, wa'dullahi la yukhlifullahu wa'dahu. It is the promise of Allah. Allah does not fail in His promise. And since Allah said here in this ayat number 4 that within 3 to 9 years things are going to change, and referring that the Romans are going to succeed, and this is what history tells us that it was so. So Allah says that the promises of Allah, He never fails in His promise. But on the other side, وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Many people do not know this. They are not aware. They do not understand this point, that the promises that Allah has made with the believers will be fulfilled. There is no second word to it. It will be fulfilled. The promises that humans make, sometimes there are ifs and buts attached to it. But when Allah says that's a promise, that's a promise. So here we see that if that means, if history has also proven, facts and sciences have also proven, and all the facts that have come in Quran have been proven time and again, so this means that we need to believe in the words of Allah, that what He is saying is going to come out exactly the way it was said. يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ هُمْ غَافِلُونَ. They know what is apparent of the worldly life. Why? Because at the first go you see that the Romans are defeated. In the first instance you see that the Muslims were persecuted. They were persecuted for 13 years. Even in Medina they were receiving persecution from the hands of the hypocrites and the Jews. So there were things apparently which did not go in the favor of the believers, but they of the hereafter are unaware. And of course, if you relate it to the believers, they are also unaware of the rewards of Akhirah. They know that there are rewards, but we go for the apparent. And if you take it for the unbelievers, even for them, they do not know what's lying for them in the hereafter. So never to go for the apparent looks, what's happening on the surface. That's what we normally get impressed by. Sometimes we get impressed by the cultural setup of certain states. Sometimes we get impressed by the worldly statuses of different nations or cultures. But Allah says these are only the apparent looks. They don't eventually matter. What matters is what lies in the hereafter. So that means one should keep continuing to do the good, and at the same time there should be a connection with God, there should be a connection with Allah, that you keep on making your du'as and at the same time keep continuing your good. Why? Because the time of promise will take its time. One thing that we don't probably realize is that the promise will take its time. We being hasty, we think that since it's not happening right now, that means it's never going to happen. But in the decree of Allah, things take time, and they will only come when the time appointed has arrived. It's not going to happen before that. So for us to wait for the promise to be fulfilled, we require to be patient, but at the same time our connection with God should be connected, and then we need to keep on doing our good. أَوَلَمْ يَتَفَكَّرُوا فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ. Now to understand any of this that we have just discussed, Allah says, do they not contemplate within themselves? Do you not see how you yourself have been created? Allah has not created the heavens and the earth and what is between them except in truth. Everything has a purpose, and for a specified term. Nothing is going to be eternal in the world. And indeed many of the people in the meeting with their Lord are disbelievers. The fact that when they will rise up again, this is where they start doubting, and this is where they lack in their amal. أَوَلَمْ يَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَيَنْظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. Have they not travelled through the earth and observed how was the end of those before them? They were greater than them in power. Greater than them meaning greater than the Makkans. And they ploughed and excavated the earth and built it up more than they have built, meaning more than the Makkans have built in their land. The perished nations were far more stronger. And excavate meaning the higher the buildings you construct, the lower you have to excavate the earth, the deeper the diggings you do, which is in other words a sign of prosperity, which is in other words sign of glamour. So Allah says more than they have built it up, and their messengers came to them with clear evidences. Now despite that, on one side there is advancement, there is improvement, there is glamour, there is prosperity, there is economic strength, but on the other side there is the spiritual side for which the messengers were sent with clear evidences, and Allah would not ever have wronged them. If they would have been submitting, then Allah would not have punished them, but they were wronging themselves because they were not believing in the signs that were sent to them. Then the end of those who did evil was the worst, because they denied the signs of Allah and used to ridicule them. They used to take it not seriously. Instead they would start mocking at it. So Allah says, don't look at the apparent glamour that you see someone has created so many tall skyscrapers, there are buildings, there is best of transport services, there is best of everything for people to have a faster and quicker communication. These are only adornments of the life. Why? Because in certain cases you have felt, for those who do not really believe in Allah, they don't leave anything on Allah. They need to take care of everything themselves. They have to take care of each and everything so that they don't have a problem in the world. So that's why you see a lot of countries, a lot of nations are working towards it, to make their world a peaceful place to live, so that they don't have much to do to go into discomfort. So they are giving you the best of comforts, the best of technology used, the best of resources used, so that you are living your life easily, right? So you're even the natural disaster, nations are trying to fight with the natural disaster so that they can give you comfort. For example, there are alarming situations, there a tornado is coming or a twister is coming, etc. But you are evacuating your people so that you take them to safer locations. You are trying to build up things in return so that there is less loss of property and life. But at the same time, Allah says that they were denying the signs, they were ridiculing them. They thought that what they are building, even in the case of Ad and Samud, you know that they were building very strong mansions within the mountains. To build something on stone is not a very easy thing to do. But then did it make them last forever? No. Allah begins creation. Allahu yabda'ul khalq summa yu'iduhu. Then he will repeat it. Summa ilayhi turja'un. Then to him you will be returned. This is the crux of life. We are here. We didn't know where we were before that. We are going to die. We are going to rise up again. And the day the hour appears, the criminals will be in despair. Yublisul mujrimun. They are going to go in disparity. Disparity of what? Disparity from the mercy of Allah. وَلَمْ يَكُلْ لَهُمْ مِنْ شُرَكَائِهِمْ شُفَعَاءُ. And there will not be for them among their partners any intercessors, and they will be then disbelievers in their partners. And the day the hour appears, that day they will become separated. Separated meaning? Separated people on different sorts of cultures or statuses or beliefs, as per family or friends. Everybody is going to separate according to the deeds then. And as for those who had believed and done righteous deeds, where will they be? فَهُمْ فِي رَوْضَةٍ يُحْبَرُونَ. They will be in the gardens of paradise, which are going to be delighted. But as for those who disbelieved and denied our verses and the meeting of the hereafter, those will be brought into the punishment. So exalted is Allah when you reach the evening and when you reach the morning, and to Him is praise throughout the heavens and the earth, and exalted is He at night and when you are at noon. He brings the living out of the dead, and He brings the dead out of the living, and brings to life the earth after its lifelessness, and thus you will be brought out. Now this is a dua. فَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ حِينَ تُمْسُونَ وَحِينَ تُصْبِحُونَ وَلَهُ الْحَمْدُ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَعَشِيًّا وَحِينَ تُظْهِرُونَ يُخْرِجُ الْحَيَّ مِنَ الْمَيِّتِ وَيُخْرِجُ الْمَيِّتَ مِنَ الْحَيِّ وَيُحْيِي الْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا وَكَذَلِكَ تُخْرَجُونَ. This is one of the duas which is also recited in the morning and evening masnoon duas. So you will find it in the masnoon duas. So this dua is one that you can recite after Fajr and in the evening, either before or after Maghrib. Now from here onward, from ayat 21, we will see that approximately Allah Ta'ala is going to mention 6 of His signs. These signs have been very well repeated also in other parts of Quran, but here you will see that Allah is talking them at a stretch. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. And of His signs is that He created for you from yourselves mates, that you may find tranquility in them, and He placed between you affection and mercy. Indeed, in that are signs for a people who give thought. Meaning that males and females eventually become partners for a lifetime after marriage. Within them, Allah says that He has kept tranquility, affection and mercy. Affection, of course, when you are at a younger age, and mercy is required between the couple when they are at an older age. Tranquility, of course, refers to the peace that is required for this living of two strangers together. Initially, you see the pattern of Islam, where we have the custom of having an arranged marriage. The male and the female, the girl and the boy, they come from, probably in most cases, come from strange families. Of course, people do get married in the same families also, or maybe from the friend circle where you have got to know one another. But in certain cases, it is by and large that you come from strange families. You may have investigated a little, but not more than that. But how is it that the same two strangers are able to live their lives till the day they die? And how is it that they can raise children in such an atmosphere where they both become a source of affection and mercy for one another? They both are coming from strange families. That means this is something that has been kept within us so that we can survive a married life. Minus affection, minus mercy, you cannot have tranquility, for sure. And if these three are missing, then there is no concept of marriage. Then there is, of course, parting of ways. Then there is no peace in the house. So one thing what we must remember is that husband and wife are meant to have litaskunu ilayha, so that you can feel this peace from one another. Unfortunately, in the society, and for what we see in so many events that are shown on the social media, etc., that this thing, the graph is coming down. Litaskunu, the graph of litaskunu is coming down for sure. If you compare to our forefathers, or if you even compare to the generations where our mothers, our parents, or our grandparents were, those generations still had this concept of affection and mercy within them, and we see the divorce rate was low, barely seen or heard. But as time is passing, our generation and the generation after us, and then the generation after them, you see the graph is going down. Why? Because affection and mercy is now coming to a bare necessity that is seen as a requirement of a good marriage. As long as affecting the likes and dislikes, nobody is perfect, and at the same time, nobody can become you yourself, and thirdly, no one can change you either, and you cannot even change anyone. That means you both have to be, as couples, we have to live in such a way that we can let go of certain things from our partners, and we can, at the other hand, come out with the best options that we have, that we can both live a better life. Meaning having a positive attitude. If you minus the positive attitude, then there is no affection. Then you will pick on very menial things, and things are going to get so worse that you are ready to separate and you are ready to go for a divorce. Allah says this has been kept. Allah has created your mates from within you. And out of that, last thing is, especially the old age, when you both need to have that company from one another. Why? Because normally the children get married, they get separated, they have their jobs, then they have their children. They don't have enough time to give it to their parents. This is the cycle that goes on in our society. Once the children get married, then they are on their own and the parents are left alone. So for this, Allah has kept mercy within them. So, but normally we've seen that women after their menopause, or men once they've got retired, then they become jittery with one another. They separate their rooms, then they have their own timetables to follow, and then they become jittery to the extent that they start getting angry at one another very easily. And then of course there is a little blame game that goes on. So for that, Allah has kept this mercy within them, that if you will play with mercy, if you have mercy within yourself, then your companionship is going to last better. And at a younger age, you need more of an affection. You need someone to say that you're looking nice. You need someone to say that I like this certain habit of yours. And mind you, every time we give this little encouragement to our partners, this is what the angels in return say to us, that what you're wishing for the other, may Allah give you the same. So if you're constantly hearing complaints from your partner, you're like this, you're like that, I don't like this about you, why did you do that, you never listen, you're never there to help me, you never say you love me, etc., etc. You see, these negative remarks bring a lack of communication. They become the reason for a lack of communication. Why? Because then you don't want to hear bad about yourself. When you don't want to hear bad about yourself, what you do is then you say, I'd rather stay away from you. When you stay away, you don't want to come home. Then you want to find friends that will listen to you, or who adore you, or who like your company. And because of this, the distances between this relationship broadens. And a time comes when you both can't even sit and have a cup of tea together. You can't even sit over 10 minutes together. So that's not desirable. Husband and wife has been the most beautiful relationship on earth, provided we understand it as the concept has been given to us. If you see Hazrat Adam and Hawa alayhi salam, they were taken as husband and wife. That was the first relationship that was introduced on the face of the earth. Children come after that. You become parents after that. But the first thing is husband and wife. So if this relationship is strong, why Allah says, لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا, then you will see that the following of the generations after you will definitely become, because children in our society, I mean, this is something we all accept also, that children need a physical role model. They don't like to be dictated. They want to see who you are, how you act, how you behave. So if the parents don't have litaskunu ilayha, they don't have affection and mercy within them, of course the children, you can't preach this affection and mercy to the children unless and until you don't show within one. Why do children go ahead and have broken homes? Is because they haven't seen it within their parents. So when they don't see it within their parents, this is what they transfer, this is what they want to repeat. And a lot of times when parents have gone through bad times with their parents, they say they want to do the same with their children. That should not be the case. If you have learned some hard ways, that does not mean that you need to transfer it to your children to learn the hard way just because you were treated like that. No, if times have changed, they have to change for the better, and the betterment will come from our behavior. It cannot just come on its own. So you will see that in this, Allah says, this is one of my signs that I have kept affection and mercy with. So what do we need to do then? Allah says, Inna fi zalika la ayati liqawmi yatafakkarun. Do we give the time to ponder that we have to bring? That means it's already there. The affection is there, the mercy is there. It's just that we have to start practicing it. We have to show it through our deeds, that we have it within us. Shaitan with his whispers covers it up with affection, takes over by hatred, and mercy takes over by being merciless. So if we can analyze and go through it, that he is my partner, she is my partner, we both need to make our ends meet, keeping in mind that we both have our differences. You cannot change anybody. This is I think a very controversial concept in our society, that you can change somebody. So either the wife is expected to go and change the husband, or the husband is expected to change the wife. And you must have seen, when you try to change the basic nature of somebody, it doesn't last for very long, because you want to come back on your name. Yes, there are two things that need to be done for a good and happy life. One is that you need to enjoy in the good, and you have to tell someone when he's doing something wrong. It doesn't mean that you don't need to discuss and share and advise, but the way it has to be done, affection and mercy cannot be overlooked. If you're telling your partner this habit of yours is not good, that does not mean to bring hatred in between and hate him for that and then leave him for that, or he leaves her for that, vice versa. If there is a problem, then problem has to be solved within the boundary of being affectionate and within the boundary of being merciful. At times you will see that husbands, they can raise their hands on their wives for just because the food was not warm when she served him, or because the chapati that she made got burnt, and she should get a beating for that. Should that be within the boundary of mercy? Nabi Sallallahu, in his character, we see that he used to get up. If he didn't like anything that was served, he would quietly move away. He would never ever object in such a critical way that this is what you've given me to eat food. If a woman wants to go to meet her parents, should that be a reason to beat her up? Why do you want to go meet your parents? So Allah has kept it. This is a sign from Allah. He has already inculcated. Otherwise marriages would never have been successful, minus affectionism and minus mercy. Marriages would have never been successful. So where is the sign The sign is within us that this is what Allah has created for us. So we need to sit and ponder that Allah wants us to have tranquility within our relationship, and this is a sign of Him. And if we follow it, that means your life is successful. You are at peace. When you come home, you should feel the peace that you have, that you deserve to be at home. Not that you want to run away from home just because you don't get what you want. So both sides need to work. We can't say that it's the duty of the wife to make things work. We can't say that it's the duty of the husband to make things work. They both have to make it work, and for the betterment of their generations and themselves, and of course they have to face Allah for their answers. We are going to take a short break here, and inshallah we are going to continue with the signs of Allah.